my question is, how do they choose to address edge? Do they go with the depth that's at the position and wait till maybe day 2 to go edge, or do they hit it on day 1? That's the question to me. And the one thing that I continue to get annoyed with throughout the process is like falling in love with prospects and then hearing other guys kind of like poo-poo on them. Like at the beginning of this thing, I looked at James Pierce, and I still feel this way. I think James Pierce is probably the second best pure pass rusher in this class behind Abdul Carter. But for you, Toby, when you hear things about his character and the motor doesn't run hot, I almost, and I'm going back and forth on this like I have with a lot of things in this draft, I almost feel like, man, I think Washington's built the type of locker room environment, the type of culture to where they now can course correct a bad apple, so to speak, if James Pierce is that. That's not a problem you want to have, though, as an edge rusher, not having your motor run hot. Because if you're not going to chase the ball, if you're not going to pursue, you're going to get yelled at by the fans and be compared to Chase Young, and then I'll have to defend you. I'll have to defend you against my reputation.
Yeah, I think that's where it gets intriguing, because I feel like this team has created a culture that now you can bring in guys with maybe questionable backgrounds, whatever it may be, whether it's off the field stuff, whether it's effort stuff, and you feel a little bit better. Before, please don't, right? Like, please don't even bother, because there's problems inside the building, much less having to deal with someone coming in that already has issues. But I think you've built something now that's strong enough that you can overcome that. I don't know, though, that they're the type of front office that is willing to take that risk right now, because look at the guys that they drafted last year. They didn't draft guys with any off-the-field issues.
All captains.
And they drafted all captains, right? So I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I think that they could go that route. The thing that you hit on, though, that I think is so spot on is if they don't walk away with an edge rusher, I do want to hit on another position here in a second, but if they don't walk away with an edge rusher and you're walking into the season with this being your depth chart at edge rusher, Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, Jacob Martin, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, they still have Andre Jones. If that's your edge rusher group, they're not a bad group, but there's no one that gets me excited there, except for Jean-Baptiste, I think, can maybe turn into something. I think what you have here is a bunch of, at best, number 2 edge rushers, probably more so rotational guys, with the exception of, I think, Armstrong can be a starting edge rusher. And the issue I have then is you don't even have somebody in development that could maybe become someone really good, aside from Jean-Baptiste.
That's it.
But he's
that to me is the hidden gem of this entire pass rushing unit to me.
But what's his ceiling?
Javonte. His ceiling may be a perennial 10-sack guy. That's what you need here.
I don't know about that.
Last year,
he's a solid player. He's a 7th-round pick for a reason. I like him. Don't get me wrong.
He's got traits. He sticks out like a sore thumb when you see him on the football field.
I like him. I mean,
fingers touch his kneecaps. I love it.
He came from 2 big-time programs, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
That pump out edge rushers.
Yeah. I just don't think that he's going to be someone that, look, I don't want to bank on it. Let me put it that way. Okay? If he turns into that, awesome. I don't think the percentages are high. I think if you can walk away, though, from even if it's not a first-round dude, like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round guy that you feel like you can develop into, even if it's just in that same sort of bin, I think you need something more than just saying, like, hey, we're rolling with Dietrich Wise and we're rolling with Jacob Martin and we feel good about Dorrance Armstrong. Like, there's nothing exciting about that. Nothing feels like you're building there. I think they have to walk away with an edge rusher. Even if it's not a first-round pick and a guy that maybe turns into a stud, they have to walk away with someone that they feel like they can at least develop into a starting edge rusher.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. I think the thing about this edge rush class, which is good, I'm not pressed to go low character guy at 29 because he's got traits. Because I do think this is a deep class, right? Like there's day 2 and day 3 guys that I really like Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State is somebody that I think can come in here and start from day 1. Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, Landon Jackson from Arkansas, guys that they've been pretty active with in the process that I know can come in here and compete for a spot day 1. Here's the thing, though. I wouldn't be upset if my edge rushing pair in week 1 is Dorrance Armstrong and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. I don't know if it's just me. I have an affinity for the kid. I think he has a real chance to turn into a double-digit sack guy. He's got ridiculous traits. He played the run well. Did you just forget the big sack that he had on Monday Night Football against Joe Burrow?
He's a good
player,
player, man.
Do you forget the big sack that he had against Lamar Jackson before he got hurt in that game?
He's a good player.
I think Charlie can play.
He's a good player. I'm not at all against Javonte Jean-Baptiste. I also, you have to be real, he was a 7th rounder, and I'm trying to
take the draft tag away from him for a second. Just go based off of what you saw from him last year. If you didn't know he was a 7th round,
flashes,
you would think
he showed flashes.
3rd round pick,
but I can't.
4th round.
But
pick?
Again, I don't want to bank on it. If he turns out to be awesome, great.
But you have to at some point trust what you have drafted and developed in house.
Absolutely, but that doesn't mean that you just pass on edge rusher because
I'm not saying
you're going to bank on Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Like, I believe in him. I think he can be a rotational, maybe even like a number 2 defensive end. I think that he can do that. I'm not going to bank on it. I think where we're arguing here is you believe that he's getting close to being there.
I'm higher on him than anybody, clearly, and part of it is because I don't know.
I like him too, but I just think, to me, you need to get someone else in the fold with a little bit more pedigree that you feel like you can for sure develop into it. And if you found, a diamond in the rough, let's go. Like, I'd be fired up. I just don't want to count on that. I don't want it to be going into this season. If Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Dorrance Armstrong are your starting defensive ends week 1,
you'd be upset.
That's not enough.
It may be more of a possibility than you're even giving it a chance to be.
No, it definitely could be a possibility.
Like, that could be their starting defensive end.
I would much rather see Javonte Jean-Baptiste get a chance at Cleveland Farrell. I think Farrell's fine.
Farrell was the injuries last year with Clee, I think, definitely impacted the production. He had a sack in that Falcons game I was watching.
I mean, he's a fine.
So I may be a little skewed when it comes to my thought on him, but like. The edge rush class, I think, is deeper than maybe the fans are aware of. This draft class, Daniel Jeremiah tweeted this out at the beginning of the process. I've heard Todd McShay seconded as well. Picks 20 through 60, you're getting a similar caliber players. That speaks to the trade down. But some of the day 2, day 3 guys at edge are super interesting. Like, fans out there, some of these names I'm about to pop off here, go look the highlights up. Go search these dudes up. Look up stats. Look up highlights. They can play. Q Robinson out of Alabama, a little bit undersized at just 250, but I like him as a potential late day 2, day 3 guy. Jack Sawyer, I just mentioned, love him. Braden Swinson out of LSU. Saw the last Tiger you drafted, turned into the damn rookie of the year. So maybe you should just go from that well. But David Walker out of Central Arkansas is a guy that I really like. Another guy that's kind of undersized, that comes in and fills that Dante Fowler role. The advantage that I think Washington has here is they've created enough depth at defensive end to where the guy that they're drafting doesn't need to be an every down player. I don't think that they're drafting a first and second down guy. They're drafting a guy that's going to put his hand in the dirt and go chase the quarterback. And I think with that being said, if that's going to be the criteria, maybe you don't have to take it at 29 because there are guys that have the pure pass rushing traits but maybe aren't as strong at the point of attack against the run. Because I think you added your run stuffers this offseason. Adding Dietrich Wise, like that to me, I'm circling that as like my free agent signing that I think moves the needle for this team.
Yeah, I mean,
that to me is it. That's
a run stuffing kind of move. You're hoping that maybe Kinlaw can be better than he has been historically against the run. But yeah, I mean, they've made some moves for that. I'm not sold. Put it that way.
1-800-636-1067. What do the Commanders have to leave the draft with? Skip is in Vienna. What's going on, Skip?
Hello?
What's up, Skip?
What's up, Skip?
Hey, I love the show, and both of you. It's NFL draft time, damn it. Talk draft. You guys are doing a great job of it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I think what I want to see, and I think this is fairly simple, but I don't care what they do as long as they draft a difference maker. I want somebody that comes out there and gives them some real competitive advantage. If it's Connolly at right tackle, that really improves the running game, which broke down with a lot of injuries last year, that's fine. A great cornerback, a wide receiver, a running back. I think any of those, as long as they're really good players and make a difference, I'd be happy with. I just don't want to see them trade out and get nothing because I think they've got holes on this team and I think they have needs.
For sure. No, I agree totally.
And I think that's a good point that he brings up because sometimes we fall in love with this idea, and I want them to trade back for the record, but sometimes we fall in love with this idea of quantity of picks versus give me the quality player. Like if you get a blue chip guy that you think you can have that difference maker that he's talking about at 29, even if someone gives you a better offer than maybe you were expecting, maybe just take the difference maker because it doesn't necessarily help you to have guys that are depth dudes. I think you would much rather have it so that you are going to have people that can actually make a big time difference. I think you would much rather have that.
For sure. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. I think the trade back conversation is fascinating because it's we all sports radio is built off of hypotheticals, right? Like we get it.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate hypothetical conversation, talking about trading back. Because there are certain scenarios you would look like a damn fool to trade back if
I mean,
Mike Green is on the board from Marshall at 29. He ain't trading back.
Instead of picking Chris Olave or Kyle Hamilton, you end up with Jahan Dotson.
Right.
We've seen it.
Exactly.
Right? Like, remember a couple of years ago, we felt good about that. You're like, you got Jahan Dotson and Brian Robinson and
Sam
quarterback
Howell?
in the future, Sam Howell.
Come on.
And look at where they're at now. We're like, you know, would they be better if they had Chris Olave, which hopefully he can stay healthy.
Had Kyle Hamilton.
He could really play. But my gosh, if they had Kyle Hamilton, right? Like
it changes the whole conversation and the whole dynamic of the team. 100%.
So to me, the thing that I think that they need to walk away from outside of talking about edge rusher is I think you have to walk away with a running back. I think you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be an early running back, but I think back to a couple of years ago, I remember people leading up to the 2023 draft. You remember this? Everyone was talking about how good the tight end class was. Everyone was telling you about how good the tight end.
This is also a good time.
Bucky Brooks was talking about this, just looking back in 2023. Maybe this is Lance Zierlein, actually, had said that the top two positions were corner in that draft, and number 2 was tight end. And Washington going into 2023 was going to be starting Logan Thomas as their tight end. And so you're like, okay, this is a position that makes some sense. Some of the guys that were drafted, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, Luke Musgrave, Luke Schoonmaker, Brenton Strange, Tucker Kraft.
It's a good class.
Darnell Washington, even getting later on, Davis Allen is a 5th-round pick that's made some impact. Who did Washington draft? 0 tight ends. Yeah. They drafted Emmanuel Forbes, Juan Martin, Ricky Stromberg, Braden Daniels, KJ Henry, Chris Rodriguez, and Andre Jones. Very forgettable class. And I think Ron was, I don't know what Ron was doing, but to me, a loaded running back class where I don't say there's a glaring hole at running back, but there's a hole at running back. Walk away with one of the running backs.
Yeah, I think you have to, like you said. But the more and more I think about it, because there's such supreme depth and we're bragging on the depth of the class, how much sense does it make to take one early? If you know you can get a quality guy in the 4th or the 5th, does it make sense to spend your richest, most premium draft capital on a position that, quite frankly, is not that impactful? Here's the other thing that I think we're totally sleep on when it comes to the run game from last year. The offensive line struggled down the stretch and got blown off the ball consistently.